Right, so we're now ready to introduce our first panel, and I'm just going to call some of the panelists up onto stage. So our first panelist is Taha Benssiba, who is the head of AI for Europe, South and Middle East and Africa from Oracle. Taha, if you can please come up on stage. Our next panelist is Vishal Kapil, who is the CIO of GMG. Vishal, if you can please also join us on stage. Right, next in line is John Casey, who is the Managing Director of TaxReady.ae, which forms part of Virtuzone. And then we have Sunil Pierre, who is a Director for Industry Sections at Huawei. And our final panelist is Mohit Pandey, who is the Head of Sales for the META region at Seagate Technology. Okay, great. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me today. So, as mentioned, we are going to be talking about the impact of tech on the business space here and all the ramifications around that. Some of the key topics that we're going to be talking about revolve around artificial intelligence, as well as the rise of certain cloud computing centers in this part of the world, and then also automation, and as well as some of the tax and business implications and how that dovetails with tech as well. So, Taha, I want to begin with you, just in terms of, because obviously you are from Oracle, just in terms of the state of the cloud computing sector here. Can you give us an overview of where we are right now? Because I know that this year you've also, or recently you've introduced quite a few new data centers into the region that also integrate artificial intelligence, right?
Yes, thanks for having me. Yep, I think we have observed over the past, I want to say 8 to 9 months now, that this region has been one of our most successful, one of the most active regions when it comes to artificial intelligence consumption. And so we've responded back to that market demand, and we've beefed up our capability in this region here. We've announced several new data centers. I refer to them as regions, but in both the UAE, in Saudi, and other parts of the GCC. And we have also a healthy combination of public cloud data centers of ours, as well as a few more that are joint public and private. So we introduced the first sovereign cloud regions here in partnership with a number of regional entities that will help provide that level of confidence for government and for some of the more security-sensitive industry.
And if you can just unpack a bit about how AI is coming into your stack, so to speak, in the region.
Sure. So today you can think of your typical use cases fitting generally in one of 3 categories. You're either a buyer, a shaper, or a maker. Buyers is probably the easiest, right? We buy technology that provides you with access to AI functionality, and a large part of what Oracle does is our ERP and applications that help companies run their day-to-day applications. So one part was to ensure that we inject AI functionality within those applications, and by just you being a user of Oracle apps, you benefit from having AI and generative AI capabilities in there. Shaper is an interesting category because this is where we address probably the wider part of the market that goes, we like what AI and generative AI in particular represents, but for it to really have value to us, it needs to understand our data. It needs to tell things from our own perspective. And so there's nothing just out there available on the market that we can just pick and use for this. We understand that we need to tweak things a little bit, that we need to train it. And that's probably our most successful area of focus in the region here. And the last one is the makers, and this is the startups. This is also some of the large entities. I mean, UAE is one of the first countries to have launched an open source model, TII and Falcon. There is extremely high ambitions all the way to senior leadership among the region here to be a global leader in that domain. And the same technology, the same underlying technology that we help build our platform on top, we literally make that same platform available to the ones who say, no, we have ambition of building our own. And it's a platform that today helps 3 of the 5 biggest AI training companies in the world with billions of dollars of R&D budgets. Today, have already chosen to run that on top of the what we call the OCI supercluster.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. It's great to hear that insight there. I'm going to go on to Sunil from Huawei because I've got a question for you. I know I'm going across the panel here, but obviously from Huawei's point of view, we know that your company is a leader in terms of helping to activate 5G technology in this part of the world and even 5G advanced technology. But as I alluded to earlier, this region is highly connected. How do you then join the dots, so to speak, in terms of driving the integration between what Taha has said about the cloud integration and you interfacing with that? Can you tell us more?
Yes, in fact, see, our strength has been the telco, providing intelligent connections. So we started using AI in telco sector. We before we came out with 5, we were the first company to announce 5G, and now we are ready with 5.5G as well. So there were a lot of AI-based enhancements that we did basically from 4G to 5G. Now, from this region perspective, what we have done is we have created an intelligent, we call it intelligent twin platform for enterprises and governments to come use that and build their industry-specific scenarios. Like, for example, we believe that there are few aspects very important in this region. One is where this region demands everything as a service. Now, gone are the days when people used to ask, say, I want infrastructure as a service or maybe a SaaS or a platform as a service. Now, people talk about whether it's a government organization or an oil and gas company or for that matter, any enterprise. They ask what business transformations you can do. And we believe that you need to have basically collaboration across 5 tech domains. Like you have the compute, you have cloud, you have connection, which is 5G, AI and application. So building intelligent applications and making sure that you solve customers' business problems and offer it on a cloud. Cloud becomes a sort of platform to offer these services. I think that is what the focus is. That is one aspect. Second is making sure that you offer various deployment models to the customer. As he mentioned that you cannot tell the customer that, oh, I have a public cloud, just take the services, because this region is heavily regulated. You have those data residency and data localization regulations which are there. So offering options that can be offered on premises, maybe a hybrid or a private type of cloud, so that customer has various options to choose from. That is one. And second is building the AI based scenarios. There is a lot of, in fact, I was just reading through a magazine, it was one of the statistics given by the Gartner that Huawei had done filed most patents as far AI is concerned. And we have built in industry based scenarios where we have the data that is trained, organizations can start using it, or they can use their own data to train those models. So both options are there. Now in the retail, e-commerce, or for that matter, government, oil and gas, there is a lot of interaction that's happening. And these industries are completely transforming. So we are building more and more use cases, even for that matter, financial sector, to make sure that we, not only in this region, we build these use cases and replicate it across the globe. Also, what we have made sure is that to serve the countries, like for example, say Oman, which is a small region, what we have done is we collaborate with the telco companies to make sure that we offer a local cloud there. So same strategy where we partner with telcos to make sure that we are within that country to meet the data regulations, plus the global cloud, which is there, where we offer services on a global network, where people can sort of leverage the services that we have in different categories, whether it is AI or for application services or for that matter, faster connections and all.
Great. So it's all about integration and
Absolutely.
partnerships. And Mohit from Seagate, I'd like to come to you now, just in terms of, obviously you come from Seagate, which I've always known as this company that makes hard drives, but obviously you specialize in server equipment as well, correct? And so what are you seeing from the enterprise side, just in terms of the points that these two gentlemen have alluded to? Obviously, we've got this rise of connectivity, we've got this rise of data centers in this region. Are you seeing more demand on your end for some of the more enterprise offerings that Seagate has?
Sure. Thank you. Good morning to everyone. As my co-panelists talked about cloud, first of all, we are a proud hard drive company, but we are a storage solution organization. That's how we are known as worldwide, and we are dominating that space globally. Now, coming to the region, the cloud demand is very, very high, and it's across the region, Saudi, the UAE, and other countries as well. In that context, we have launched a technology called Mosaic 3 Plus, which you see everywhere on the hoardings as well. What is that? Uh, I'll take you a quote by Michael Jordan. He said, "Don't play the game, change the rule of the game." That's what he said. And what does it mean by that? Uh, if you keep playing the same game, you will be either beaten sometime and you can be ahead. This time we launched a technology where we changed the game in terms of hard drive capacity. It's all about areal density. If you be in that 20 terabyte or 25 terabyte hard drive capacity, you'll be doing the same thing what competition is. We brought 30 terabyte to the world, and we're not stopping that. So it says Mosaic 3 Plus, it will be Mosaic 4 Plus, 5 Plus, and so on and so forth. We have a roadmap for 100 terabytes of data. So my co-panelists talked about cloud, and when you talk about cloud, it has to be stored on our data. It has to be stored on a hard drive. We don't think that way, that the end result, that the data is getting stored on a hard drive, and that's where we come and we bring that to the world.
So Mohit, just for our audience now, 100 terabytes of data, as you mentioned. I mean, what does that mean in real terms exactly? How does that impact our lives on a day-to-day basis?
So all the data, all the technology, the AI, machine learning, and IoT, everything. You talk about new technology, you need to store that data, and for that end result, you need a hard drive, right? And that's where we are increasing the areal density of that, the scale of that, and with that, the total cost of ownership comes down, the cost. And the end results, when you get into any business discussion or transformation, end result is what is the cost of that? And we are bringing the cost down so that you can store more data at a lesser cost per terabyte.
So it's all about cost and performance also.
Absolutely.
Interesting. And so Vishal, I just want to get across to you as well. Obviously, listening to all of this as a CIO, you must be, wondering how you kind of navigate this world. But I'm sure you're obviously very much on top of it. How do you get GMG ready from an IT perspective with all of these fast-moving trends around you? From AI through to the changes in cloud, etc.
First of all, thank you for having me here and be part of the breakfast session is amazing. Usually it's in the evenings, so it's quite fresh, and I have my audience who is quite attentive. Thank you. So it's a very profound question that you asked, that as my role as head of technology, how am I doing things I'm supposed to do? First of all, I need to, like it is said, that you need to know your audience. Same way for me at my level, I have to speak to board, I have to speak to my colleagues who are presidents of business units and so on and so forth. I need to make technology, speak technology without making it very technical. Okay, make it very simple, make it very business centric. What I mean by that, technology in many companies is seen as enabling function. but it's no more an enabling function. It's a strategic function. It's the technology that is driving organizations today. Okay, so that fact uh, need to be established. So just to give you a paradigm, a speaker spoke about the what's happening in Dubai, and I like the optimism on the real estate. Uh, if you look at America and the GDP contribution in US of its $26 trillion economy, 50% of that economy is driven by technology. Okay, so that means there are a lot of hustlers there in that economy who are trying to push the envelope on at a global scale on technology. How many of that action is happening here in Dubai? Okay. So in given the context, I am working with a company which is headquartered in Dubai. How do I make it, um, drive the needle on the technology front? So that, which means I need to do a lot of stuff internal, and I need to be dependent on a lot of vendors. Okay, and I need to have a very clear focus on the business. So having said that, it's very clear to my mind that any business to stay relevant in the consumer space, you need to do hundreds of things at the same time. Okay, so if we have opened as a company a store in Singapore recently for Nike, which is one of the biggest store after Dubai Mall here uh, in the region, it was my belief that customer doesn't like you. Okay, so commerce need to happen where the customer is. Okay, very simple thing, very simple insight. So you like the shoe, you're wearing the shoe, you tried it, and you want to do the transaction there and then. Okay, how do I enable that? So I don't like to carry my invoices if I need to do return. Very simple equation. How do I make that customer journey very seamless without showing technology on the face of it? And technology in stores and retail need to be very invisible. Okay, and that's what we were able to achieve. The biggest problem in retail per se is the inventory accuracy, because you are selling on marketplace in Noon, Amazon, wholesale partners. You are also selling on your e-commerce, Nike.ae, and many other Sun and Sand Sports.com and so on and so forth. How do you make sure that the same shoe is available in all these different platforms rather than having 10 different items to serve to 10 different customers? So how can I make that inventory visibility across, and whosoever takes it first, it goes there. Okay, so there are many foundational. So before we start talking about AI and a lot of jargon, sorry, I speak my mind here, and allow me. You need, any company need to do, invest a lot on getting the foundations right. We all know that no AI will work if you do not have your data foundation right. So to your question, what is it that in GMG I am doing? I am getting a lot of foundational stuff right. So we did 4 SAP transformations last year in 1 year. We built the entire data lake on the latest architecture across all 6 business functions, business units across the group, right from Southeast Asia to. So today, if I need to know what is lying where, I have a clear visibility. Who is buying from which location? I have a clear visibility. So I can go on and talk about full day about how good I am and what all I am doing. But the point is, at a leadership level, we need to be aware of the present, the gap that I need to fill, and where the business is going, where the customer is going, and it's getting complex. Okay, if you allow me, I want to share one example. I have 2 boys, and if I look at their user interface requirement, how they interact with content and how they interact with tech. My younger one, he's built I don't know what all things on Minecraft. Okay, when these people come and they have money in their pocket and they become consumers, and when they and you show them the current kind of websites, they'll say, "What crap is that?" Okay, I'm not taking the conversation to metaverse and those kind of things, but I'm just talking about the current verse. Okay. So the interface requirement of the next generation is not that you search and then you type and then you look for and then the catalog comes and then you look and then you look at the size guide. Sorry, they are not that kind. They're different. Okay. So the whole thing. So why? What am I saying? I'm saying you need to have a awareness on. You need to fix the present. You need to be aware of the legacy, and you need to move the legacy to the present so that you capture the market and give the immediate business results that people are looking for. And then you need to have a leg in the future that how things are changing from the customer perspective. And you don't need to really go far, look around. And that's where you see that where you should put your money. I hope I answered your question, but this is what all I am doing. I hope I've kept it less technical here.
Yeah, thanks, Vishal. I mean, I don't know how many of us in the room play Minecraft, but I'm sure a lot of us have kids who probably do play it, and we're familiar with it. So, thank you. I think that was a really great example, and I thought you made a good point around how the customer is also evolving and changing, and the expectations are changing. And that brings me on to you, John, which is obviously you head up TaxReady.ae, and tax is one of my favorite topics.
One of the few, sure.
Yeah. And I'd just like to know how all of these trends are impacting your world in terms of how you adapt, because I know that you're also part of the Virtuzone group, correct? So Virtuzone has really, innovated with AI and automation on its side as well. So do you then do the same? How does that work?
Yeah, I always love listening to panelists like this because we're very much the end user of what they're doing. So it's nice to know where these downstream impacts are actually coming from. Look, one of the main ones that we currently that's going around at the moment is this term of AI is coming for my job, right? And every accountant, including us at TaxReady, every time an accountant hears that AI is coming for my job, our ears prick up. Popular or contrary to popular belief, accountants aren't all naive, head in spreadsheets. We know that our industry is ripe for automation. In fact, it's been happening for a number of years, right? But what we've seen in the last couple of years has been a huge difference. And the way to explain this is the accounting industry, you can almost split into two parts. There are tasks and then there's advice. Tasks have been getting automated for years already, right? We know that's been happening. What I've seen in the last couple of years is the first step or the first crossover into the automation of advice. And people have been trying to do this for years and years. I remember hearing the term robo-advice 20 years ago back in New Zealand, right? But for the first time, technology is taking that leap over from automating a task into actually turning advice into a commodity. And I'll use an example. So at TaxReady at Virtuzone, we built a tool called TaxGPT. Now, I'll be honest, I thought it was going to be a bit of a marketing gimmick at best, full disclosure. But we built this thing and I started using it and I was amazed at just how accurate the outputs were, and this was a real sort of eye-opener for me because what we've now done, and it's going to be the same for the legal industry, it's going to be the same for financial advice, all of these service industries, all of a sudden we've taken out an entire layer of what our employees currently do, right? So yes, for the first time I hear that, AI is coming for our jobs, and I'm like, oh, actually, I think it probably is. There's always going to be the bespoke piece, which is complex, but I think this is the first time that we're actually seeing that start to creep into commoditizing advice. The irony is, we send our clients to TaxGPT, for example. They haven't quite caught up in terms of adopting this. So I will sit down in a meeting with the client, and the client will say to me, yeah, I went to TaxGPT, it gave me this answer, but I just wanted to speak to you and make sure it's right. Right now, the irony is not lost on us, I think that that's going to catch up very, very quickly once people become used to this, and then once that happens, you're going to see a huge segment of the accounting industry and financial services industry drop away.
I think that that's a good point, because it's about using AI more as a co-pilot rather than letting it just file your tax returns for you.
Exactly.
And so I think we've probably got one more round of questions that I can ask quickly, and Taha, I'm just going to get back to you as well. And what I'm interested to talk to you about is some of the hyperscale cloud services that you guys are doing in the region as well. Can you just explain to our audience what hyperscale is exactly and why it is so important?
Yeah, sure. A hyperscale effectively refers to the capability of allowing an organization that would typically have gone and built their own data center or rented a data center from a local organization and say, you probably, whenever you design these, you design them for a certain scale, for what you believe is going to be the maximum thing. And that generally comes off of a certain set of expectation about how good your business is going to do. Imagine your Uber in your very early years, right? And you go, and your objective was just to say, we want to give an alternative to the taxi hailing in New York City, and that was your sole ambition. If you had gone in and let's say created your technology infrastructure and your capability the more traditional way, right? The moment you realize actually there is 100 times more demand for what I do, not just in New York City, but all kind of different other countries, you would be held back by, well, hold on, I can't scale up. This was not designed for this type of scale. Uh, Funnily now enough, there's a lot of niche little ideas that suddenly gain a lot of regional or sometimes even global popularity. And what a hyperscaler does for you is it says whether your idea stays something that's used for a small department, for your organization, whether it's something that booms and you need to deploy it in 20 different countries, and with each one you need to be able to abide by a set of regulations and rules and policies that would allow you to operate in these regions. We have built capability in each and every one of these places. So you let us handle, let's say, some of the lower level of complexity that entails any technological innovation to operate. And you worry on what differentiates you and your own intellectual property. Sometimes I use, we've had a few analogies with this. I'll use one of my favorite analogies. Say, people generally just want a highway. They do not care about who owns the asphalt. It does not matter. What matters is, well, can it take me from point A to point B, and how fast can I drive? And in a way, hyperscalers deliver just that. They'll go, we'll build the road, right? And you guys focus more on, what are the routes that you want to take, from where do you want to go, and how many people do you want to actually have on the road?
Yeah, interesting. Mohit, I want to get your thoughts on that as well, just in terms of how, what Taha had just mentioned, building those super highways for our technology world. Obviously, you guys would also be an integral player as part of that, right?
Exactly. And that's where we have brought the new technology, which I talked about, Mosaic 3 Plus, right? That it's all about storing the data. We have been talking about data. I hear it at least 50, 60 times since morning, starting with the gentleman talking about 100 to 8, 57%. It's all data points, right? Whether it's any technology, hyperscale, AI, machine learning, IoT, or anything else you say. And the end result, you have to store the data, analyze. And once you have to store data, you think about the organization called Seagate, which has brought Mosaic 3 Plus as a technology to the world. And I'm proudly sharing with you on 17th of January this year in Intersect, which is a security show happens on Trade Center. We launched the technology and it was well received. We have a lot of use cases around it already in the region, mainly in Saudi Arabia. That's how we are enabling the growth which is happening around all other technologies and inventions which are coming to the world.
And Sunil, I know you and I also had a conversation outside of this where you were talking about, the need for improved regulation, particularly around, how we use some of these cloud technologies. Maybe you can just unpack that for us.
Yes, in fact, see, as our friend from the other side, because he's from the customer side, most of us are from the technology side. As he first, I'll touch on that subject before getting into the regulations. AI is still evolving, and on the regulatory front, on the use case front, what to use, what not to use, still people are trying to sort of figure it out. Now, the first and foremost step to using or leveraging AI is to have your foundations in place, which obviously he touched on. Then second is how do we collect the data? So he talked about the data lake. So it's a step to AI. These are the basic steps, because unless you have this, AI will not be of any use. So that is one. From regulations perspective, see, even regulatory firms are also using AI to sort of come out with different options. Regulations in certain countries are very hard, so there has to be a bit of balance which needs to be maintained. People are, some of the countries are relooking at the regulations which they had framed earlier. There's a lot of sandbox testing which is happening, where they are testing that how it is going to be impacting or working. Now, with AI, you have the data regulation, then you have the industry regulation. So it's not just one regulation; it is a combination of different regulations that needs to be addressed together. So as of right now, if you ask me, yes, it is moving fast. They are leveraging AI to sort of put in the regulations in place, but it is still a work in progress as of now.
So, John and Vishal, I'm going to come to you for the last quick questions because I think we're running low on a bit of time. But, John, from your side, I know that also regulation, there's been some changes in terms of that in your sector as well. I mean, how does that impact a business such as yours and how you operate?
Yeah, we're in a bit of a funny situation in the UAE whereby we had this big new corporate tax announcement, so we've got a significantly changed compliance landscape evolving at just the same time as we're getting this huge technological advances as well. I mean, ChatGPT was launched in November 2022. The tax law came out 3 weeks later. So we're in this unique situation where we're actually building something, we're building things alongside of the tax law evolving, which is, it's like a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because we can build the stuff from scratch and make it, completely, and we don't have to deal with legacy systems or anything like that. It's a curse because the laws are changing every month, and so you build something, and then a month later, the law the FTA goes, oh no, we're going to change that, and so you need to go and revisit it all. But what we have been able to do, so for example, last year, TaxReady, we did a big campaign registering, getting 10,000 companies tax ready for free. Now, the only way we were able to do that, obviously, we couldn't go and hire accountants to go and do registrations at 10, otherwise we'd still be doing it and we would have hired every accountant in Dubai. So, we built an automation, a robotic automation process. We're using that constantly and I'm not sure my fellow panelists will want to hear this, but gone are the days where we need to integrate into a tax authority portal with a complex piece of, with a complex solution. We can just build a robotic process that acts as a human and just goes and files it all for us, and the tax authority changes the layout or something. It takes us an hour to retrain it and it just keeps going. So, that's something that was not available 2 or 3 years ago, and now we can do this en masse. You know, we're providing, and it means we can cut our costs significantly. I mean, our goal is to provide, you know, super economic, efficient tax solutions for the small medium segment of the economy, and we're able to do that purely because we can automate these things and keep our labor costs down.
Thank you. And Vishal, just building on that point that John has made around the impact that AI and automation is having, that's obviously one of the key trends that's emerging in the last 2 years, right? How do you manage that trend? And I'm also curious to know whether you're perhaps seeing any security risks out there in terms of actors or bad actors that are using AI to try and infiltrate an organization. You know, many corporates are.
Yeah, so I just want to build on what he said. Number one, basically what he's saying is that anything that can be any process which has a possibility of automation will get it. Okay. Just to share with you, in last few months, my team has built more than 15 bots, and those bots are doing the Diva bills payment for a store in Dubai Hills or I don't know which all malls. So now we have gone even to next step wherein I've enabled some of my business team members in finance. They can build those bots on their own. Don't come to IT that build this and build that. These are the tools available, and go play around and create your own automation. So by doing that, what is it that we are doing? We are democratizing technology so that business users, they play with it and they look at the possibilities around them on the automation. Okay, this is how you drive the change. But the second, the security angle to that is you need to be very clear what are the pitfalls of doing that. So someone can go and create an automation wherein they can also email wrong stuff to so many people in the company. Okay, so you need to be very clear because it's getting complex. Okay, and that's why if you see yesterday's I don't know whether you're following Elon Musk on Twitter or not, but he mentioned that Apple and OpenAI combination is bad. Okay, he's making a very strong statement, and then he's putting a photo of a phone out there, fully secure. And there are a lot of solutions that are coming out, which is secure AI solution, not dependent on OpenAI. So we will see such solutions coming into enterprise, bank, law firms, accounting firms, finance firms, all these, and where companies like us, where there is a customer data and you are bound by the legislation, you need to be very sure what you are getting into. That's my advice, you call it my suggestion, and have an expert view in terms of what guardrails you need to put against different things that you are trying to, set out there. I think that's my view on that.
Great, thank you, Vishal. So thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm now going to open the floor to questions. I don't know if there's anybody in the audience who would like to ask a question or two. I see Atif's hand is up.
Good morning, everyone. Lovely listening to all of you. A little known fact about me is actually I went for graduation in computer science in 96. I do construction and real estate because that's what my grandfather and my father taught me. But I did computer engineering from a very renowned university in India, BIT. And that's why I understand everything you were saying. And love the point you make, Mohit. I keep telling my GMIT that cloud is nothing. It's a hardware, some machine somewhere. It's not in the air. That's why I've always believed in. I got 3 questions. And I'm one of the biggest customer for 2 of you. Oracle, I've done 3 purchases of 3 different licenses over the last 20 years. From the time when Oracle entered with GTS in 2004-5. global technology solution, the subsidiary of Enoch, right? So this is my third venture that I've established over here. And this is my third purchase from Oracle. Instead of going for user-based licenses and not still convinced with your cloud-based licenses, I went for perpetual licenses, processor-based. So probably I paid 10 times more in terms of license cost. I still believe, I still feel for my industry, there's nothing better than Oracle. I totally believe in it. But I have a question. There has been absolutely little done from Oracle in terms of advancing the ERP solution for the real estate and construction industry over the last 2 decades. And I'm saying it as one of your oldest customer and the most repeated customer, because third purchase and I moved from user to processor. I saw Vishal, getting surprised because you would do the maths on the AMC cost, you would know support cost will shoot up, right? So it's not just upfront that I paid more, I continue to pay more. Why there's not enough advancement on the cloud side? You guys doing great. I don't believe in it yet. The reason, because it is someone else's machine, someone else's hard drive. I have my own data center. I keep things over there. Why not enough is happening on your legacy product, right? My second question to Huawei. And Sunil, we have a lot of technology from Huawei that we've taken, but I still would love to see a company like Huawei, and I really believe in some of your products, amazing products. It's transformational. We have implemented in our headquarters on Sheikh Zayed Road. Why aren't you guys entering into the real estate and building management side? What is happening on that side? My third question to Vishal, I totally agree with you. And I was having this conversation yesterday with my GMIT on how we need to converge and limit the use of technology, because you end up buying servers and then expanding the servers and then having a DR side. And then, you know what I mean, right? As a CIO, you know how it can really divulge your expenses and technology. So, and the threat of AI. I mean, it's time will say whether Apple and AI, OpenAI is a good collaboration or not. Simple question. Do you think AI should be limited only to the B2B sector, because there is a lot of threat? And I'll tell you, is I got bots for doing the bank reco on the ERP, but then I realized that things can go wrong, like you rightly said. So in your opinion, do you think it should be limited to the B2B sector, protecting the B2C sector, because it is thrown open and there's nothing called machine learning? I was doing algorithms in 96, 97 when it was still on Foxborough and C#. So there's no machine learning. It's algorithms, right? So do you think it should be limited only to the B2B sector? I think I fill up you guys with a lot of questions.
John's going to feel left out now. You have a question for everyone, and then you left the gentleman in the middle.
It's all right. I know tax is boring. It's fine.
No. I mean, yeah, I have to.
Keep digging. It's fine.
I mean, I'll happily go. I think generally the strategy of Oracle has always been, whether you're on private cloud, hybrid, or on public, we always try to support customers regardless of this. There's always going to be customers like you feel, look, I've already built something, I feel really comfortable, and I simply do not believe in the other alternative. And probably one of the very few tech companies that has always made that statement true, saying we will not try to shove you down a product and say we're shutting this down, so you either move to the new thing, and you swallow whatever concerns you've had, join the club, or that's all we'll do. I think the difference in what you're perceiving right now is that it is generally, even from an R&D standpoint, it's always a lot easier to push any new innovation to cloud, because it's a singular code base that everybody else consumes. And so what you're noticing is that the pace of innovation that goes is higher. But if you look back at how often you used to get releases for anything on-prem, that has not changed. That cadence is still there. So every 3 years, you get a major patch. Every year, you get a couple of minors. It's just that your frame of reference now is different. You see the guys who get a new release every 2 weeks, and they get the latest and greatest of features. And on your end, there's more struggle. So trust me, I do understand that bit, and I do know that we still have quite a significant part of Oracle that's still working like day and night only on ensuring that our software stack on customer sites still runs. the challenge that we'll start observing is that some of the capabilities needed to run those new features demand a very different type of hardware that needs to be present. And most of our customers are unable to source, for example, the high-end GPUs that our friends at NVIDIA produce, well, for all kind of different reasons, export control, sometimes it's just the upfront capital cost. And these tend to slowly, gradually become prerequisites to, well, why do you have now a feature that says populate job description in your ERP on the cloud, but you don't have that for the part on-prem? We could really push the exact same code. The problem is we know that by doing it, one of the prerequisites is you getting access to a type of hardware that is extremely expensive and extremely hard to find. We would push that, and then the deception will just be even higher, because now you go, I'm not able to use it. So instead, what we're trying to do is to say, how can we make that capability run on traditional compute? It might not run as fast, right? And it's no difference than, I really like what you've said also about cloud is just someone else's computer. I was one of the first people who quoted this to some of my own customers. I believe in being self-critical, quite as being one of the only way to advance the way you operate. And one of the challenges today is to bring all of these large language models that do a million things into smaller language models that are really extremely good. They're experts in a small area, and therefore do not need the type of crazy hardware that's necessary to operate. So that in turn, even our on-premise customers are able to get the new capabilities that they want. So it's just coming at a pace that you probably were very comfortable with in the early 2000s, and now you want it the same way you want your iPhone updates. And yeah, our frame of comparison, unfortunately, is what making innovation on-premise appear slow, but in reality, it's always the 3 years. It is true, and yeah, reliability is a thing we take great pride of, right? That's the one thing we know that I think 9 out of the 10 biggest banks in the world, I think we've done a study of every industry, have run and keep running anything that's mission critical on our platform, because that is a reputation that you acquire for a longer period of time. I can't blame it. It's a big market out there, and there's definitely pros and cons to all platforms.
Yeah, if I need to answer your question, I'll simplify for everyone's understanding. So see, you maybe any business, if they are accustomed to see cost line X in their P&L for tech, let's suppose, is so such and such. They want it to remain same. Okay, many companies. And it's the responsibility of the tech leader in any company to unpack and make it very simple for everyone. There are many things you have on-prem and on cloud. So, and then that's one equation. The second equation is when you are in a capex mode and you are growing business and you want to enter into new business territory, you are doing acquisition and so on and so forth. There's a lot of capex that you are doing. Okay. Then there is an appetite to do something new. So in the overall budget, you have lights on cost of the legacy business, and then there is a capex amount of thing, and which will become lights on next year, like AMC and cloud cost, so on and so forth. So what happens is, if you have, let's suppose, 100 dirhams and you have lights on cost 80, and 20 is your area which you are using for your innovation or any new thing that you want to experiment and do something. Next year, because you did capex this year, this 80, and you want to keep the same 100 dirham, this 80 will become maybe 90 as your lights on cost. So what happens is, your ability to do something new is just 10 dirham. Okay, 10%. Because you want to keep the cost same. I'm not talking about you, but in general, many companies think that way. So what happens is, the more companies are in that model or in that mindset, your ability to remain innovative company and transformative company reduces. Okay. So So just reverse it. It's a hard question to be answered. That how do people have the lights on cost lesser and lesser over a period of time, and keep enough money for the innovation and the new things. Okay.
And that's
So-
before your CFO comes and asks for 5% back, right? That's
Yeah.
the
I
So
was
there are
gonna say,
many.
what you're saying is blame the accountants, basically.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just giving you a perspective. What I am doing in GMG is that if I have, let's suppose, X headcount, I'm just sharing an example. And if there are pressures, okay, reduce this money and all of that, do the optimization. Because see, every business will ask for more bang for the buck. Every business. Okay, whether it's company A, B, C. Then as a leader, you need to be very, very innovative in terms of, it's not that automation applies to business, it doesn't apply to my business. Even in tech, you need to get rid of a lot of legacy, and you have to do multiple tech for tech projects. Okay, so that you free up your people's bandwidth, you free up your resources, and use the same money for something different. Okay, yeah. Please. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I didn't answer that. So I'll tell you.
Sorry, Vishal, we're running out of time, so
Yeah.
maybe just
So
a quick
maybe
answer
I'll
on that.
speak to you separately, but very quickly. AI is not going to be limited only for B2B use cases. There is a lot of things that companies need to do on the B2C side, including their company. Everyone need to know, because they are doing such an amazing work. People need to know what's happening. They put a query and somebody wants to know what's happening in the Gulf business overall space. What is the GDP of this, data? There's a lot of things every business have to do to stay relevant. What I said earlier. In my view, it's B2B, B2C, B2B2C, C2B. All these models, it will be relevant, and it is going to be part of our life. It already is, and it is just the beginning.
Great. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think we need to move on to our next session. Thank you very much for the insights and for the questions as well.
So I'll cut it short with since we are short on time. I think we need to do a session with you on what new we have come out in. There's a lot of things that's happening. Maybe share some use cases and then see how relevant those use cases can be to you. Take it.
Great. Thank you very much, gentlemen.